From the outside, the world of combat sports can look clean, regulated, almost ceremonial. Two men bow, tape their gloves, and step into a ring surrounded by bright lights and respectful applause. But beneath the surface lives a different ecosystem entirely, a place where pride mutates into venom, where arrogance festers into mockery, and where a single careless insult can summon a storm you never saw coming. Some fighters enter the ring, believing their words will shake their opponents before the first punch even lands. But when those opponents happen to be men like Naoya, Inoue, and Tenshin Nasukawa, the mistake becomes catastrophic. For these two are not merely fighters. They are living reminders that disrespect, once uttered, demands repayment. Swiftly, violently, and without mercy. It begins long before the punchlines and highlight reels. It begins with confidence, or the illusion of it. Jaime Macdonald had walked into the ring with 30 wins, 2 losses, and not a single knockout against his name. A British warrior, tall, rangy, and accustomed to dictating the rhythm of a fight. His resume read like a declaration. Seasoned, tested, impossible to finish. But confidence has a way of turning slippery. And before his fight with Inoue, he began to speak in ways that echoed through the boxing world. "I see me wiping him out clean," he said, brushing away the Japanese monster as though swatting a fly. "He's too small for me, too short. I'm going to smash him. I know I am." It was the kind of prediction people expected from a champion. Bold, maybe brash, but not unusual. Yet something about his tone stirred the air. Perhaps it was the way he smirked during interviews, as if he already saw Inoue lying broken on the canvas. Perhaps it was the way he spoke of size and reach, as if those attributes alone could bend destiny. Whatever the reason, Macdonald stepped into the ring with a sense of superiority that clung to him like a second skin. But Inoue stepped in with something far sharper. When the first bell cut through the arena, Inoue did not ease into the fight or test the waters with polite jabs. He charged forward with the urgency of a man who had no intention of wasting anyone's time. It looked almost humorous for a moment, like he had reservations at a sushi bar and needed to finish the fight before his table got taken. But behind that speed was a different message, one Macdonald hadn't anticipated. Inoue wasn't there to win. He wasn't there to survive. He was there to punish. Within moments, the playful testing phase evaporated. Inoue shifted into a gear Macdonald had never experienced. The Japanese champion's fist cracked through the air with the precision of a marksman, driving combinations into Macdonald's body and skull and to the giant from Britain. The man who had never been knocked out began to wobble. Then came the punch, a compact, explosive burst of energy that dropped Macdonald to the canvas and erased his boasts in a single instant. The referee counted. Macdonald blinked. For the first time in his entire decorated career, the British warrior was out. Inoue walked away with the WBA title, but the belt was only part of the story. The other part was what Macdonald left behind. The realization that arrogance is brittle, and Inoue knows exactly where to strike. The story shifts from Japan's monster to its other prodigy, Tenshin Nasukawa, a fighter whose movements look like choreography until you realize he's landing every strike with the cruelty of a hammer. In 2019, he faced Fritz Bayagdin, a Filipino dynamo backed by none other than Manny Pacquiao himself. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation, violence promised, honor at stake, pride sharpening itself between two nations. But when the bell rang, Bayagdin didn't look like a warrior stepping into battle. He looked like a wind-up toy that had sprung out of control, flailing, bouncing, throwing himself at Tenshin with a wild energy that seemed less dangerous and more ridiculous. His movements had no discipline, no form, no respect. For a moment the arena paused, unsure whether to laugh or recoil. Tenshin didn't pause. He cut through the chaos instantly, slicing the circus act apart with pinpoint counters that landed so cleanly they echoed. Bayagdin stumbled, twisted, flopped, each time looking less like a fighter and more like prey being toyed with. The Japanese prodigy stalked him with surgical calm, picking his shots, delivering them with unforgiving power. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each blow landed like a lesson, like a reminder that the ring is not a playground nor a comedy show. Manny Pacquiao, the legend who came expecting a war, could only watch as a young Japanese striker dismantled his compatriot with a level of dominance that bordered on uncomfortable. When the referee stepped in, it wasn't a save, Tenshin. It was to rescue Byagden from a humiliation that could have easily gone on longer. But arrogance, as always, is a renewable resource. It appeared again in the World Boxing Super Series, a place reserved for killers. Among them was the undefeated Puerto Rican technician, Emmanuel Rodriguez. 19 wins, 11 knockouts, impeccable footwork, impeccable defense. A fighter who didn't just win, he dissected. If the fight had been purely professional, perhaps things would have proceeded differently. But in the days before the match, something happened that changed Inoue's intentions entirely. Rodriguez's coach shoved Inoue's father, a blatant, deliberate act of disrespect carried out in full view of the Japanese champion. It was not casual. It was not accidental. It was an insult aimed at the very roots of Inoue's identity, an attack on the man who raised him, molded him, shaped him into a weapon. From that moment, Inoue fought not for victory, but for vengeance. When the bell rang, Rodriguez stepped forward confidently, landing jabs, controlling space, showing why many viewed him as a genius of the sweet science. But Inoue wasn't retreating. He was calculating. Each punch Rodriguez threw became fuel for the anger simmering within the monster. And then, with a suddenness that left viewers questioning whether time had skipped forward, Inoue unleashed hell. A combination detonated against Rodriguez's jaw and ribs, dropping the undefeated champion like a tower of wooden blocks collapsing beneath a child's kick. Rodriguez lay stunned, eyes glazing, consciousness flickering. Somehow, perhaps through stubbornness, perhaps through instinct, he rose. But Inoue wasn't finished. A samurai repays his debts, and Inoue repaid this one with interest. The next assault erased every trace of resistance. Rodriguez crumpled again, helpless under the relentless storm. When it ended, Inoue held another world title, and the coach who had dared to shove his father could only watch as his fighter absorbed the punishment meant for him. Tenshin faced his own version of disrespect in the form of Vizenlek, a Thai showman who taunted him throughout their match. Every strike Tenshin landed earned a mocking smile, a condescending shrug, an expression that said, "Is that all?" But the real insult came with a low blow, a filthy, deliberate shot thrown with the kind of malice that turns a competitive fight into a grudge match. That was the moment something inside Tenshin snapped. With cold fury hardening in his chest, the young prodigy unleashed an avalanche of strikes, cracking Vizenlek across the skull, ripping into his ribs, and overwhelming him with a pace that drowned out every taunt. The smirks faded, the confidence dissolved, and the man who moments earlier had mocked Japan's golden boy now stood drenched in blood, stumbling backward under a punishment he never saw coming. When he finally surrendered, it was not a strategic retreat. It was survival. Inoue's rise continued, this time against Antonio Neves, a skilled fighter with 17 wins and only one close loss. Commentators wondered whether Inoue had truly been tested. They questioned whether fighting mostly in Japan had given him an unfair aura. But when the fight began, all the doubts vanished. Neves tried to play the predator. Inoue turned him into prey. Each round became a chapter written in pain. The Japanese destroyer carved into Neves with combinations that banged against bone and organ alike. Neves tried to answer back. He tried to show he belonged. But every attempt was drowned beneath Inoue's intensity. By the 6th round, his corner realized something important. Their fighter was not taking damage. He was being dismantled. So they did the only thing they could. They threw in the towel before Inoue could finish what he had started. But disrespect comes in many forms. Sometimes it's words. Sometimes it's mockery. And sometimes it's simply underestimating the wrong man. Early in Inoue's career, he faced Warrior Prianas, a veteran who looked at the young fighter and saw not a threat, but a joke. He taunted, smirked, stuck out his tongue, and treated the match like entertainment. Inoue, still developing his legend, responded not with anger but with precision, a steady stream of blows that doubled as a lesson in humility. When Prianas finally fell, it wasn't a sudden collapse. It was an inevitable conclusion of arrogance meeting discipline. A similar fate awaited Pompor Kokijim, a Thai fighter with a jaw forged from iron. But iron melts under enough heat, and Inoue brought fire. Kokiajim tried to play the unshakable showman, shaking off punches, gesturing dismissively, challenging Inoue with every inch of body language. But each round chipped away at him until finally consciousness slipped from his grasp and the arena fell silent in awe. Then there was Rodtang, the Iron Man of Muay Thai, a fighter known for absorbing punishment like a living statue. Fans were divided before his clash with Tenshin Nasukawa, unsure who would buckle first. What followed was a war so fierce the judges demanded an extra round. Rodtang taunted. Tenshin answered. Strike after strike collided in the air, reshaping the ring into a battlefield. When it ended, Tenshin stood taller. Not because he humiliated Rodtang, but because he conquered one of the toughest men alive. The final chapter comes with Takeru Sagawa, the Great K, one champion whose arrogance during their fight dripped from every gesture. Perhaps it was confidence, perhaps stubborn pride. But Takeru smirked, mocked, and even resorted to dirty tactics, poking Tenshin in the eye, twisting his body to dangerous angles, putting the Japanese prodigy at risk. But when Tenshin retaliated, he did so with the fury of a man defending not only his career, but the integrity of combat itself. The knockout that followed wasn't merely decisive. It was corrective, a punishment delivered with precision and finality. And so the pattern reveals itself. Arrogance stumbles into the ring, but humility leaves on a stretcher. Inoue and Tenshin have never needed to boast, never needed to taunt, never needed theatrics. Their fists speak more clearly than any insult ever could. And to the fighters who dared to mock them, who underestimated their power, their discipline, or their heritage, the ring became a courtroom, and the verdict was harsh. These are not men who seek revenge. These are men who uphold a standard, a code written in silence, discipline, and steel. Those who spit on that code learn quickly that disrespect is a debt, and Inoue and Nasukawa are collectors who never leave a balance unpaid. If you enjoyed witnessing the brutal karma that unfolded in these stories, consider dropping a like, subscribing, and letting me know in the comments. Which moment shocked you the most? Which fighter's comeback or knockout carried the most satisfying justice? And who should we cover next in the world of combat legends?